Hey guys, thanks for watching Church Talk. My name is Rob, and today I'm going to be talking about the Behringer XR18. I'm going to give you my review of that mixer. All right, guys, today we're talking about the Behringer XR18. I'm going to give you a review on that. This is pretty much the same as the 16 and the 12, but there's some differences there, and I'll put a picture up here on the screen so you can see the differences between them. The main difference that I've found, I've not used the 12, but I've used the 16 and the 18. The 16 doesn't have the XLR preamps on all the channels. It has 1/4 inch on like 8 of them, and you have your XLR inputs on half of them, on 8 of them as well. So on the XR18, which is what I own and have here in the studio, they have XLRs on 16 channels, and then you have 1/4 inch on your channel 17 and 18. So we'll get right into the review, the things that I like about it and the things that I don't like about it, and how it's been working the past few years. So number one, the pros is I like the 16 XLR inputs. I can put 16 microphones into this thing. So if we're taking our drum set and we're taking my acoustic guitar and we're going to be using a lot of microphones, I mean, it only gives you 16 channels, so you're limited on the size of it. But I have 16 XLRs that I can plug into, so I can plug in all of our drums, and by the time I get finished with the drums, I still have room for vocals. So with the 16 XLR inputs, those are the Midas preamps. So those are good quality. They feel good. Everything with the unit feels really good as well. It is really lightweight. It doesn't feel as heavy as a mixer does, but that's one of, we'll get to that in just a moment, on one of the pros and cons, depending on how you look at it. Well, you know what? I'll just jump right to that. It does not have a physical interface with it. This is a total digital board. Same thing as, because I guess that's the reason it's called an XR or an Air. I put the Air in there for, it's controlled only by an iPad or only by a computer. It's not physically controlled by the unit itself. So it's not a mixing console. It's just a digital mixer. So some people look at that as a pro, some look at it as a con. Myself, for how clean it makes the studio and how easy it is to put, for our ministry, how easy it was to put this on the stage. We pretty much used it as a stage box, and we were able just to walk out with our iPad and control it. So in that application, it was fantastic. For an application like if it's going to be installed in your church, I'm not really a fan of that. I would rather have the physical controls right there at my fingertips, and of course the ability to walk out in the sanctuary with an iPad. So the digital side of things are great for that too, but this one does not give you that physical control. So being installed in a small to mid-sized church, I would say, yeah, it's a good unit as far as how you can just put it on the stage and use it as a stage box, basically. But I would prefer to have that physical control. One of the other pros, in my opinion, is it has 6 XLR sends or outputs. So you can have, your entire band can have, in-ears if they want. And so say if you have a 5-piece band, you can put 5 of them on in-ears direct to the unit. They can control it with their iPad. And then you have another channel that you can either send to a floor monitor for your vocals, or if your vocals are also on an instrument, and so the entire band and vocals have their in-ear from those 4 or 5 channel outputs, it leaves you an extra output for anything that you may need. In our case, we would usually use that for either for the sub mix, or maybe a live stream mix, something like that. But it does give you a good amount of outputs for the size of the mixer. So that's for me. That's a pro. Another pro is it is very easily controlled by a iPad or a computer. Once you learn the interface and how to navigate, it is very simple to get in there and route and mix and do whatever you need to do. It's very user friendly, at least for me. Coming from the analog world, this was my first digital mixer, and it was pretty easy to pick up on, very easy to learn. So yeah, I think the user ability is very good as far as that goes. The physical size of it fits in a rack, so it's ideal for a small ministry. So for us, when we were traveling, this was the unit that we used when we would go to a church or whatever. I think we had like maybe a 6 unit or an 8 unit rack, that we had an amp on the bottom. We had our wireless gear in there, and then we had our XR or our XR18 in there as well. So everything was already plugged in, and depending on what we needed at the time, some churches we could come in and plug this into a couple of the inputs. So we'd go from the outputs, the left-right output of our XR18 into a couple of free inputs on the church's board. So we didn't have to bring in any speakers. We didn't have to adjust the church's board, because a lot of churches are using analog boards, which is nothing at all wrong with analog. They are fantastic systems. But if you go in and start changing things around and mix it and make it right for you when you're traveling and you're coming into the church, now you leave their tech. And a lot of smaller churches, they really don't have a sound engineer or even a sound tech. They have a volunteer that just kind of mixes the volume, and everything else is, once they get it set to where it sounds good, they don't touch anything else, and they only just adjust the volume. And you go in there and you start messing with things. Now you've messed it up for them for the next week. They've got to go in and try to readjust everything. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to go in and move all their equipment and all their adjustments. So with this unit, it's very easy if you are a traveling group of traveling ministry, to where you can just go in and plug into their system, but all your mix is on your own small little rack mount unit. So that's a big pro for that one as well. And as I mentioned before, the size of it is perfect for like a small stage box. So I know one church, they began just a few years back, and they took over. I'll say they took over. It's really not the right word, but they began being the pastor in the Charleston area here in West Virginia. And when they started the ministry and they got this existing church, they bought this same exact system, and they put it on their stage and use it as a stage box, and they're controlling it from their computer or their iPad. And for us, when we would come in, and being a digital unit, we could come in and save their scene, save our scene, and every time we went back to visit the church, we pulled up our scene and would remember how we had everything set up. But we pull up our scene and our settings were saved, and we were ready to go. So it was really good for that. That's another pro. Let me get to I'm gonna keep going on the pros here. It has a switch for the Wi-Fi and the Ethernet and control or access control. It has alternate connection for the P16 and super simple routing. So on your P16, that is very, because this is a 16 channel, basically. It's 18 channel, but 16 XLR inputs. And when you plug in your P16, it automatically goes to 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3. So your P16 is channel 1 through 16 of your board. So if you need channel 17 and 18 in your P16, then you have to group them together just as you would on anything else. But if you're using 1 through 16 as your main inputs, then that's what your P16s are getting as well. So it's a super easy setup as far as your your monitors go if you're using P16s. Now, to get to the cons on this is when you're using the onboard Wi-Fi control, it tends to cut out quite a bit. When it was brand new, it seemed to be fine, but the older it got, the more we used it, we found out that, because we heard a lot about this, we heard it's the onboard is not very good for the Wi-Fi or the router, and that is true. So the fix for that is you buy your own router, and you're using that router for your Wi-Fi, and it connects to your board. So you're not using that onboard Wi-Fi router, but it does work, but it does disconnect often. It seemed to cut out on us quite a bit. So once we made the switch, but once we put a different router in there, it seemed to be okay. One of the other drawbacks on it is, I think I've had this unit for probably, I'm going to guess, about 5 years. And recently, it seems like every time I come into the studio and power it up, I have to reboot the system. And that wouldn't be a problem, but it deletes the scene. And when I try to pull the scene back up, something is corrupted within. And I haven't figured this out yet because it's a new problem that I'm having, but it's either in my computer system or it's with the board. I don't know, but it's not remembering it. All the settings are there, but I have no control over anything, and I'm not actually getting any signal anywhere. So it's showing me everything, but I'm not able to control it, and I'm not able to use it. And then I do a factory reset on it, and everything comes up just fine, but nothing is saved. So microphone number 1, which maybe it's supposed to be the kick, is now just channel number 1. It doesn't say kick. Any settings that were saved is lost because you've done a factory reset. It's worked every time I've had to do that. I've had to do it a couple times now, and so I don't know what's going on with it, but that's something I'll find out about, but in the future, and I'll come back and let you know what I found. But as for right now, that's an issue that I am having with it after about 5 years. I know there's one at one of the churches that we've been to and that we've partnered with and things. They have the XR18, and it looks pretty rugged. It was used for their youth group, but it seems like it works pretty good. But every time we hook it up, it's a brand new setting. There's not anything on it that's really scenes that are saved. So I don't know if anybody else is having that same issue or not, but it's something that we're having. As far as for the studio, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference because anything that we record, I'm recording pre anything else. So it really doesn't matter a whole lot, with the exception of, I've lost my channels. So I have everything that's saved, my channels 1 through 16. And, once I get past the drums, because I always put my drums first. So once I get past the drums, I don't remember what's what. So I have to just kind of play that instrument or speak into that mic and find what channel it is and then relabel it. So that's kind of a hassle. But besides that, it's worked really well. It sounds really good. It's very easy to use. And so for me, I think the price point on it's pretty inexpensive as well. So my review on the XR18 is that it is a great unit for what it can be used for. For the main church's system, I would not recommend it. If it's going to be for a short while or it's going to be a mobile unit, then yes, of course, I think it'll be great. But if it's going to be your main system, when you purchase it, I would purchase it with the mindset of it's going to be temporary. It's not going to be our main system. We're using the same exact system at our church for our mobile equipment. We haven't had any issue with it at all. We've probably only used it maybe 10 or 12 times, and it lives in a rack mount in a storage room in our church. And every time we need to use it, we pull it out. It stays in the rack. It's not giving us any problems or any issues. So, but it's not near as old. It's probably maybe 2 or 3 years old by now. So it's working well. working well for us for that application. So my review on the XR18 is it worth the purchase? Yes, it is. I think it's a great system. With any system, there's going to be bugs in it. Maybe this is just a bugged unit that just something's happened to it now after 5 years, but it is a good unit. It works well with other Behringer products as well. Of course, Behringer to Behringer is usually pretty easy to work with, but my review on it is it's a great system. I don't think you'll go wrong purchasing it for the right application. For your main church, I would purchase an actual console, unless you're, like say, your mobile ministry or you're really small getting started, and this is going to be a temporary option for you. I think that would be great. I don't think you'll have any problem with it. So I'll leave an affiliate link in the description, and if this is something that you're looking at purchasing, check it out in the Amazon link in the description. Like say, it doesn't cost any more for you, but it does give us a little bit of commission when you buy through that link, so we appreciate that. Go check out robandjen.com. That is our website where you can find our church talk page and all the different things that we have on our merchandise, our cups and our t-shirts and things of that nature that we have available. If you like them, pick one up. It helps out the channel. And be sure that you click the like button and the subscribe, and click the bell as well, so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And we'll see you guys next time on Church Talk. God bless.